The world is hurting right now, and it's time to rise up. As we lift ourselves up in body, mind, and spirit, we can reach out to others and be a light in a sea of darkness. Welcome to the Movement for Global Health with your host, Dr. Mary Zennett.
Nina Rubinstein is an anxiety coach. She helps women heal from anxiety naturally with mindfulness and self-love. Nina helps her clients let go of fears, self-doubt, and negative thinking patterns. In turn, they find peace of mind, confidence, and joy, living a new life. So, Nina, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you, Mary. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Yes, we are so excited to have you.
Thank you.
Let's start by talking a little bit about how common anxiety is today. You know, we hear it's more prevalent, but is that accurate?
It is very prevalent right now, and I believe it's more prevalent than ever before, and for a lot of reasons. Well, first of all, the statistic that I saw was 40 million people in the United States suffer with anxiety, and I'm sure it's based on people who were diagnosed with anxiety and who are kind of like getting help for it. But there are also a lot of people who never seek help or who never even know that they have anxiety, that they're just having the symptoms that they can't really identify. And for a long time, I was one of those people, so I really know what it feels like. And especially now with the pandemic, anxiety is just sky high. And I talk to a lot of people who are really struggling and suffering right now.
Wow. You know, tell us your story. I think it will really help our listeners. It's very significant.
Sure, of course. Yeah. I was born and raised in Russia, which is really a land of fear and anxiety and suppressed emotions.
Yeah.
And I came here with my family when I was 19. I went to school, I got my psychology degree and then occupational therapy degree. And I worked as an occupational therapist for 20 years. And as much as I love occupational therapy, the job really became very stressful and very frustrating. And it's not a secret that working in healthcare is very difficult for the reasons of just, there's so many, for health professionals right now, there's so many other tasks that they have to do other than patient care. And over the years, it's just became such a burden, emotional burden. And like in terms of just, I'm there to help patients, and I felt like I couldn't do that anymore to the extent that I wanted to, and I believed that I could help. So my job didn't really align with who I was anymore and with my values. And I felt that I needed a change. And based on my own experience with anxiety, I felt that I was ready. I was ready to help others. And especially that it's so prevalent right now, that it's so big and so many people are struggling.
Wow. Well, but I bet you learned a lot as an occupational therapist.
Definitely, yes. Occupational therapy, I think I love occupational therapy. First of all, it's a holistic profession, which is, one of the few professions. A lot of things now are very specialized, and occupational therapy really looks at the whole person. And it helps people regain their functioning in daily life, in all aspects of daily life.
Mhm.
And the way it approaches all the problems that it solves for people is wonderful, I think. And to me, I always look at it like a puzzle, that it breaks everything down into smaller pieces, and then it kind of tweaks each piece in a way that would make it work. And then you put everything together and it
Right.
works. And now you have the solution. So I think it's a really wonderful way to approach any problem in life.
Mhm.
And it works great for, mental health, emotional health, for really anything. And I use that a lot in my work.
Wow. So let's talk about this with anxiety. Well, first of all, for our listeners, what would give our listeners a hint that, wow, you're really suffering from anxiety and that Nina could help you? Because I think a lot of people don't even know that they have this
Right.
recurrent anxiety.
Right. And I was one of those people. And from the people that I talk to, usually there are two groups of people. One of them, like there's some people who are really aware that they have anxiety.
Yes.
And usually it's those people who are saying, well, I've had anxiety since I was 6, or since I was a teenager. And they probably received a diagnosis at some point and treatment. And they know that they have anxiety. They know what anxiety feels like,
Mhm.
and they're aware of it. But there are a lot of other people, and I was one of those people who really
Yes.
didn't know. And for those, usually what happens is the fears, and to me, anxiety is just that deep fear. It's not the kind of anxiety where, you have a job interview and you're nervous. Right? It's
Exactly.
something deeper that runs within you and kind of becomes part of your being and part of who you are and how you are in the world. And I always thought that that was just my personality, so that's just like how deep it is in us. And then it was triggered by a stressful situation in my life. And that's how many people experience it. So all of a sudden, they're feeling something is happening, but they don't know what it is. And for me, it was physical symptoms at first. It was, I had difficulty breathing. I had trouble taking a breath. My heart was pounding. I had heart palpitations. And that lasted for 3 years or more.
Wow.
Okay. And like being a health professional, I knew, because I know about how the body works and the stress response. I knew that my body was under stress. So I was trying, like, I knew I had to find ways to calm it down. So I started looking into breathing strategies and meditation. But a lot of people are not aware of it, and it can be very scary. Okay. And they also say, well, it just happened, like anxiety just happened, but it never, in my experience, it never just happens. It was triggered, like something that was already inside of you was triggered by the stress. And now it's up, instead of being deep down, now it's up on the surface.
Wow.
Okay. And that's why it can be scary and people don't know what it is. And that's how it happened to me. That's how I kind of started going on this journey of, self-development and learning about it. And then at some point I had a name for it. But that
Exactly.
was, yeah, that was not in the beginning at all. Yeah.
No. And it's so overwhelming, those
Yes.
feelings, and you don't really know what's going on.
Yes, that's why it's so scary. That's why that feeling and not knowing what's happening creates more anxiety, it creates more fear, because now you're afraid what is happening with my body and what is going on with me. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
But
it
then,
can
like,
also, yeah.
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Mhm. It can also manifest in just, you know, worry about the future, which also creates the physical symptoms, because our bodies respond to the emotion and feel the emotions. It
Right.
could be, you know, self-doubt,
Mhm.
overthinking, fear of change,
Mm.
criticizing yourself. So like it could show in very different ways, or just a feeling, like some people describe it as just the feeling of unease and feeling of dread. Like they have this
Mhm.
fear, you know, but they
Mhm.
don't know why. And it's scary. It's scary to have the fear, but now the fear creates more fear. And now you go into that cycle that you kind of like you really get stuck in and you don't know how to get out of it. And that's a
Exactly.
problem for a lot of people.
Well, and like you said, you're always worried about the future, but then tell us how living in the present moment can really help. So I know that's not easy to do.
Sure, yeah, it is a practice because our brain is always going to try to protect us. And it always goes from the place of what it already knows and from the
Mhm.
past experience. Okay. So um, it's going to protect us by kind of thinking about the future and the possibilities, and trying to warn us about bad things that could happen to us, because it doesn't want bad things to happen to us,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, we know that our mind is very powerful, and thoughts that we think in our mind create the feeling. And your body really
Right.
thinks that what you're thinking about, you might be thinking about something scary in the future, but your body is feeling it as if it was happening right now.
Yes.
Okay, so you're not just taking your mind there, you're taking your body there too, and you're creating the whole experience for yourself, not just mental, but physical and
Wow.
emotional.
Right.
And
Right.
right, but and just like, you know, you can visualize, you know, being on the beach and the ocean and the waves, and you can feel the breeze without really going to the beach. You can close your eyes and you can have the experience. The same way we can have a scary experience, right?
Exactly.
But we also know that our life only happens right now in this moment. Like we're
Mhm.
talking right now, this is when it happens. And then the next moment and the next. So it's really practice to bring yourself back and to focus. It's a lot of it is about focus, how to focus your mind on what's happening right now and what's in front of you, and how to respond to life as it happens. Because when your mind is way, you know, in the future, you can't be here. Then you're missing your own life that's happening right now because you're focused on something else that's not happening.
Wow. So when you say that, I mean, you could miss months or years of your life.
Yeah, because you can't fully present
Right.
to your family, your
Right.
children, your
Right.
work. You can focus
Mhm.
on your life in this moment, and then but then it's focused on something else, right? It's either like for usually for people who have anxiety, it's either the future, they worry about the future, or they think about the past. They have some kind of guilt or like something about that they about the past that they weren't able to resolve, you know, that they're
Right.
trying to figure out, what if I did it this way or that way? There's a lot of self-doubt. So with anxiety, the mind tends to go out of the present, either in the future or in the past. And our job is to, like, one of the things that I teach and I do is to help people learn how to be in the present moment and how to live their life right here and right now.
And live with gratitude. Like
Definitely, yes.
in that moment,
Yeah,
right? Take accounting. It's like, what, you know, it's a lot of little things too that we don't think about.
yeah,
But
that's
it's
what
like,
it's
wow,
about.
but they're not little. But
Right, they're not.
in our minds, you know, we distort. It's you
Mhm.
know, like this future fear, and it becomes monumental. But the little joys right in front of us, we need to embrace again.
Yes, and that's what happens. You start appreciating all the little things that are around us. Like if you're going for a walk, and that happened to me before, you can go for a walk and be in your own thoughts and not even notice anything,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Or if you're fully present, now you can appreciate, you can see the colors and you can see the shape of the leaves and you can see the sky and you can see the clouds, you can feel the breeze. Like that's the experience of life, like life in the now, right? That we want. That's why we're here. To feel
Exactly.
that, like to use our senses to
Mhm.
feel that moment. But if our mind is somewhere else, you're missing all of that.
You're missing all of that. And what would you say the benefits, okay, so taking, because people say, I'm too busy. And but to take some time regularly for a walk and really take in the sky, the trees, the environment, the breeze. What are the benefits to people?
Well, it's that going back to like what is your life about? Like asking yourself, why am I here?
Yeah, yes.
Right? And like a good exercise is to kind of like go back, actually go back in the future. It's just a visualization exercise. Okay, it's not to stay there. But to like maybe you are 80 years old now and 90, 100, and you're looking back, like what is valuable to you, right?
Mhm.
What are you gonna regret that you didn't do, right? And usually it's not the busyness that we miss. We
No.
miss being present. We miss being present with our people that we love, right? And experiencing that life as it is, right? Instead of running around, because all the running around comes from really, we have to like we think that we have to do all those things, and we
Mhm.
force ourselves a lot of times to do things that we really don't want to do,
Right.
and that also creates turmoil inside, so it really changes your life and brings you back to where you are now, and you become a really much happier and joyful person. And that's what a lot of people miss. And when people come to me and they're like, I just want, and when people are in their 50s and 60s, they kind of look back and they say, well, I tried all those different things and they didn't work, and now I really don't know what to do, but I just want to enjoy the rest of my life. That's what it's about, and mindfulness and learning how to stay in the present helps
Mhm.
you be a happier person.
Mhm, mhm. How about the energy? Because when I think of that running around, that frenzy, it takes up so much energy.
Definitely, yeah. Um, a lot of the anxious thoughts take up
Mhm,
a lot of energy.
mhm,
And
mhm,
then we
mhm.
don't have the energy to actually do things that we want to do. So I found for myself, and when people start doing this work, and when they let go, when they're able to let go of a lot of negative thinking and
Right.
they develop more compassion for themselves inside, it
Mhm.
frees up so much energy. And now they're able to do things in their life that they enjoy. And
Wow.
it's really wonderful to see, because energy is now redirected
Mhm.
towards the things that are enjoyable. Um, and that's what happened for me too. And I see how the more I let go of my
Yes.
negative patterns and negative habits of thinking and the limiting beliefs, the more I have the energy and the more I can connect to myself and, start getting those answers. What does my heart want to do, right? Not just what am I supposed to do, because we kind of, we learn to be a certain way, and we learn that we have to do certain things in our lives. We kind of like operate from that conditioning, and a lot of times we kind of live in this box. We're supposed to do these things, and we're just gonna do them. But what is it that you really want to do? Like, what is your heart is asking you for? And we don't really ask these questions, but when you start learning how to be present, you start recognizing that and connecting to that. And that really changes your life in a way that now you might, change the path, and you're going to follow the things that are really yours and you're really meant to do in this life. And that really changes, like it changes your whole life. Really.
Oh, that's transformational.
It is, yes, it
It
is.
really is.
Yeah.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our world, our environment, sets us up for this. We should be doing this. We should be doing that. There's all kinds of messaging on media, and I think it doesn't serve us. It's not all, but a lot. And I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think social media can be used for either healthy reasons or unhealthy reasons. And do you find that with people?
Definitely, yeah. Yes, of course. And there's a lot of, with anxiety, there's a lot of self-doubt and a lot of comparing yourself to others. And I think that kind of perpetuates it more, and it does make it worse. But you also know, like, when you have to know, like, when to stop that and when to, like, close Facebook or, close social media when you feel that it's really affecting you emotionally, and learn how to be okay with yourself, with who you are, because that's where it all comes from, really. But also when you're talking about like the world affecting us, I feel that the world is changing in so many ways. And I kind of, there are a lot of people who, like, I kind of call it like we grew up in the old world.
Yes, yes.
Where there were a lot of rules and a lot of expectations and a lot of judgments. That's, that's how you have to be, and that's what you have to do, and you have to go to this school and get this degree, or like whatever it is for, for different people. And a lot of times we really didn't pay attention to our, like, how do I feel about it? We just kind of push it down and we do it. But then after years of doing it, it really catches up with you. But then now we live in this new world where there's so much freedom and so many opportunities, and people, there's so much freedom to express yourself and be who you are. But coming from the old world, we don't know how to do that.
Exactly.
And I think that, yeah, and that's what creates, and that's why people are looking for something. And a lot of times they don't know what it is, but that's what it is. They're looking to find themselves in their own path, and just to follow their own heart.
That's beautiful. So you really help people with that.
Definitely. Yeah, you have to, like, it's kind of the process of unraveling those negatives first, and all those expectations, and learning how to recognize and become aware of your own feelings, of what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your body, how to start respecting your own feelings instead of saying to yourself, I have to do this. Well, what if you have feelings about it that are going against that, right? Like, what really comes first? Learning how to put yourself first, how to be compassionate to yourself. There's a lot of self-love, that I teach, because we can either go in the fear or we can go into the love, and those are really the two choices. Anxiety is fear, right? And it's the opposite of love. So you have to learn how to love yourself first, and then you can, you can give it to others, give more of it to others too.
And when you do, right, you fill yourself up with that self-love. There's much more to go around. You're able to truly love people.
Definitely, yeah. And I know, like, when I was like looking through your website, kind of like that same idea you had on it that I really believe in, that like we all talk about like how do we make the world a better place and how do we heal the world. But like when I started doing this work, at some point I realized that we really, like, each one of us really needs to start with ourselves.
Yes.
You know, we have to create that love within ourselves, and you know, and learn how to love ourselves, how to be okay with ourselves. And that's how we change the world. By changing
Exactly.
ourselves.
It's a
Yeah.
natural, you're absolutely right. It's a natural process, but it has to start from within.
Yes, yeah, it has to start inside of us. We have to
Right.
heal our own fears and our own doubts in ourselves, and be okay with who we are, love ourselves unconditionally. And then we also, it allows us to understand better where other people are coming from. It, you know, it lessens the judgments that we have of others, because once we understand ourselves, then really, you know, yes, we do, like each of us has our own life experience, but our mind, our emotions, our bodies, like they all work the same. It's just a human condition, you know. So it allows us to understand other people, even if they do things that we don't approve of. You know, we don't have to fight them. We can understand and have compassion for them, you know, and that creates a very different world just by doing that.
Wow. Yeah, I was on a panel recently on judgmentalism, and then that came up, that when you're, you know, when you're coming from that place of anxiety and subconscious fear about yourself, is that it projects onto other people. You know, when you love yourself and you're focused on yourself, it's, you wish everyone well, but you don't let other people push your buttons the same way. Is that you're too busy. You're too busy doing your own inner work.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, it's profound.
It is.
So
Yeah.
do you find your background in occupational therapy helps you?
Definitely. Yeah, I love occupational therapy. Yes, it definitely helps me. It helps me help people and explain it maybe a little differently, because sometimes we have to hear it in like in a different way to really feel it and really connect to it, you know. So I feel like I can break it down and I can teach it or coach it in a way that makes sense to a lot of people. And I do kind of I try to make it simple, and I try to make it like down to earth, you know. And OT definitely helps with like breaking things down, and also with teaching step by step, you know, instead of like overwhelming the person, but like teaching it in a way that like you do this thing and then you do the next thing, but you also have to practice. And that's what, you know, a lot of people have trouble with, just to continuing that practice, because it is a practice. It's not something that you just learn and you do and you're done. You know, you
So
can.
do you have exercises, like the people you work with? You'll have exercises that they'll
Yes,
practice when
definitely.
you're home?
Yeah, I work with affirmations a lot. And you can kind of look at the negative thoughts that we think and the negative habits of thinking as affirmations too. Like it's something that we're affirming, right, to ourselves. I'm not good enough at this, you know, I'm not smart enough. Like that's an affirmation. So now the job is to unlearn those habits and to learn new ones. So that takes repetition. and that takes work. But just like you learn to think that way, you can learn to think this way.
Practice, right?
Yeah,
A lot of
practice
practice.
and repetition, a lot of that. Yes,
Do
definitely.
people have schedules, like daily, like little things that you want them to be doing
Mhm.
every day to practice?
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to do it every day, but at least like 5 days a week. Yes,
Yes.
definitely. And even if it's
Yes.
just one thing, if it's just one thought, but you have to
Wow.
like keep doing the work. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. How long do you work with people?
Um, I usually work on a 3-month basis, and then after 3 months, we kind of go back and we look at everything and we reassess
Okay.
and we see the progress, and then we decide, what to do for the next 3 months. And usually it takes like a few cycles of 3 months, just because, all the things that we learned and everything that's happening in our bodies and our emotions, like we've been doing it for our whole lives. So it doesn't happen overnight, but the change is pretty quick. People start feeling better in a couple of weeks, and then it just gets better and better. And sometimes we run up against something, and whatever comes up, I feel that whatever happens in your environment that triggers you, that's the sign that like it's ready to heal, it's ready to release.
Wow.
Okay, so we don't really go and dig things up, but we just go with like whatever life brings that triggers your negative response, and we just look at that. And it's kind of you take it off, you heal it layer by layer as life happens, and life knows what you're ready for. So it's never gonna bring you anything you're not ready for.
Right.
And that's how we do it.
Wow. And that's encouraging to hear that people start seeing or feeling progress in a
Yes,
short period of time.
very, very quickly. Yeah.
Wow. That's very encouraging.
Yes. And also, I feel that a lot of times people who have anxiety, they hear a lot of that, you have to manage your anxiety. Like, or they ask, how do I manage my anxiety? Right? And I tell them that you don't have to manage. Right? Managing means living with it for the rest of your life and just dealing with it and tolerating it.
Exactly.
Right? You don't have to do it. You can heal it. You can release it. You don't have to live with it.
Well, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just very
No,
different.
I want to also bring that's so significant that you don't have to live with it. You can let it go.
Yes, you can be happy. It doesn't have to affect your life on a daily basis. You don't have to experience those worries or guilt or, whatever it is, the overthinking, that self-doubt, that beating yourself up, because that just creates so much negativity inside of you. You can let it all go. You can learn different patterns.
Well, it's liberating. It truly is for somebody that's lived with the anxiety for a long period of time.
Right. It is very, it gives you freedom from all of that that we learned. And then it gives you, like, you find the freedom to be who you are also. Once you kind of remove a lot of layers, then you start listening to yourself and finding who you are really underneath all of that.
Underneath, so it really is. It's a process of self-discovery. And like you say, self-love. But if you don't really know who you are, how do you truly love yourself?
Exactly. So it is a process of self-discovery. What do you like? What do you not like? What can you tolerate? Like, where your boundaries lie? Like, all those things. What's important to you? And then honoring that. Okay, saying this is important. I am important. I care about how I feel. And a lot of times it's just this feeling of, like, once people feel that, okay, I really want to do this, a lot of times with that comes, I'm worthy of it. You know, I'm worthy of doing this work because I decided that I really care about how I feel and I care about being happy. I deserve to be happy. And that's why I want to do this work. Like, you have to get to that point where you decide that, you know.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I want to bring up another point is that we live in a world where so many people take medications for anxiety.
Right.
And I want you to talk about that a little bit. If people that call you tend to be on medication or want to come off medication, or what do you see in your practice?
I see that a lot of people are taking medication. I don't have a problem with it. I think sometimes we do need additional support just to help us function better. But at the same time, I don't see it as like a permanent solution because it doesn't really address the root cause of it, which is fears, which is, you know, those doubts and all those things that live inside of us. So medication doesn't heal that, okay? And with my clients, I see that they end up coming off of medications and they're able to learn how to manage their minds and how to, like, create their thoughts and emotions on purpose, intentionally. They learn how to do that, okay? And how to not be afraid of anxiety either. How to,
Exactly.
yeah, how to respect
To
your
be afraid of
body.
the anxiety. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How to respect your body for, like, going through this experience and bringing something from the past that might have been scary to us before, but now we just have to have compassion for that fear, for that, you know, part of us that lived in the past and now it still lives inside of us.
Right,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah. So I find that my clients do come off of medications gradually. And
That
they
is
find
so
ways to deal with it.
encouraging because I've known so many people and they feel trapped. They want to come off those meds, and but there's anxiety about coming off the meds.
There's anxiety about going on the meds, and then there's anxiety about coming off.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Exactly.
that.
And you know, I just want to bring up is a percentage of those meds for anxiety can be very addicting. Not
Yes.
all, there are non-addicting meds that are prescribed for anxiety, but the
Yeah.
addictive ones, particularly, it sounds like diving into the work that you're offering, Nina, and helping people really get in touch with who they are,
Yes.
and gradually working on those healthy habits. When they have that foundation, that it becomes easier and more natural to gradually come off those medications.
Definitely, because they feel more confidence that they can do it from within, from the inside. They have the tools and they know how to do it now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so awesome. That is so awesome. Well,
Yeah.
you're doing phenomenal work.
Thank you
So,
so much. Yeah, I also wanted to mention that, kind of relating to what you were just saying, that to me, like, and it's kind of more like a spiritual side of it, but we go through life learning lessons. Like, we are on this spiritual path that our spirit is supposed to, like, we're in the human body and we're learning, right? We're always learning. So all of us have challenges, but a lot of us get stuck in those challenges, like anxiety. When you're stuck in anxiety, that means that you're not learning what you're supposed to be learning. Because when you're learning your lesson, you're releasing what's blocking you. Okay, so anxiety is one of those, like we can look at anxiety as one of those lessons, right? You have to learn how to love yourself more. That's the lesson. And then you don't have that chronic, that persistent anxiety anymore, you know? And that's what I help people with, like, how to find those ways and tools of learning that lesson.
Exactly.
And then you can move on to the next thing in your life instead of being stuck. Because when you're stuck, then it feels awful. We're not supposed to be stuck. We're supposed to, this is a journey, and we're supposed to move through and create something new in our life and enjoy that and keep going, and when we feel stuck, then it doesn't feel good because it's just not supposed to, not supposed to happen. That's not how life is supposed to happen.
I bet it's exciting for you to see the people you work with blossom.
Definitely, yeah. Things change.
Yeah, they're
A
new
lot.
people, and you don't
Yeah.
know in advance, you know, what they're going to manifest. It's just so exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah, it is exciting to see how, like, I can start working with a person who is like really, you can see in their face expression, they're really down, some of them,
Yes.
depressed, and then they just start smiling, and I'm like, look at you.
Oh, that is so
This is
awesome.
it.
It's truly
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Nina, how can our listeners get in touch with you to learn more about if this would be a good fit for them to work with you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can connect with me. You can send me an email, nina@releaseyouranxiety.com. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to hear from you. I have a Facebook group. It's a free group, Release Your Anxiety Facebook group. And also, if you're looking to have a deeper conversation, and if you're looking to get help and support, we can set up a consultation that is free. And if you could, like, maybe put that in the show notes, that link to Mary. So if anyone is interested, you can set up a time with me and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Beautiful. Yeah, we'll have the links in the show notes. And yeah, I would encourage people, if you're on the fence, if you're not sure, it doesn't matter. Reach out.
Yeah,
Reach
let's
out
talk.
and connect with Nina. Exactly.
Yeah, just the conversation, that's all. Yep.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I want to express my heartfelt thanks to you.
Of course.
This
Thank
has been
you.
absolutely delightful and empowering, transformational.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate being here and appreciate talking to you, Mary.
Wonderful. All right. And so we'll get those links in the show notes and encourage our listeners to reach out to Nina. All right, then.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.